Hello, I'm Robin, pronouns she, they, and I'm making a series where I talk about myself, my transgender journey, and um, today I want to talk about why I haven't chosen to change my voice. Um, so I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. So when I started this journey, I really expected that I would, because I'd seen that there are various people who have gender dysphoria um, that were assigned male at birth, like me, that have managed to um, both look and sound female. And I'm fully aware that I don't sound female at all. In fact, I have a rather low voice, even for a male person. So now I'm on hormones, but in case anyone's unaware, going through a male puberty changes the voice, but then using estrogen to simulate a female puberty, it doesn't change it back, it doesn't alter the voice in any way. That's why you tend to notice female to male transgender people, trans men, they, if they've been through a medical transition, tend to have those low voices, and trans women, they have to work on their voices to get them into that state. There are many YouTube videos that show you how to generate a female voice, and I've looked at those. I've also had a block of one-on-one training with the NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK where I live. I've had group training with Sienna Eros from Trans Voice Lessons on YouTube. You might have heard them. They're quite famous. They're rather. I think they've basically done seminal research in this area. And I've had one-on-one training with Stephen Davidson of the London Trans Choir, which I'm not a member of that choir, but I have had one-on-one training with him. Now, all of these trainings, they've been excellent trainings. So why didn't it work? Because I haven't taken the time to learn that skill. Now, again, you can ask why, because surely it's an element that, it doesn't match my presentation at all. And it's an interesting question. And I've got excellent recording equipment. I'm a musician, a hobbyist musician, and I have excellent microphones. And you don't need any of that. You can just use a smartphone or a computer with a webcam, because all you need to do is to be able to record your voice and listen back, because what you hear when you speak is not what everyone else hears. That's where the problem lies. Because of bone conduction within the head or something along those lines. I simply have not spent the time to do it. I haven't made the time. And also, I particularly disliked the prosody connection. So, especially with the NHS therapy that I had, they told me that the tendency of women is to have softer, less forceful voices and to be less assertive. And that's not me. I don't want to be less assertive. This has always been, this is all about me being happier, and if it's not going to make me happier to make this change, then why would I do it? Okay. Anyway, I was told, to be clear about it, I was told that I don't have to apply any of those concepts. So I've concluded that I have dysphoria in certain areas, but I don't have any dysphoria at all in connection with my voice. And even though the effect of my transition is to align myself more with womanhood, I appear more like a woman now. I don't appear completely like a woman, I'm fully aware of that. That's not my goal. The goal for me is to be happier within my skin. It's not to fit the gender binary. And I already know I don't conform, well, now I don't conform to either gender stereotype because I have, I've got breasts. And so for me, it's not about being a woman, it's about being me. I said that very early in my transition and I stand by that. I also kind of feel that if I changed my voice, it would diminish me in some respects. And that's an entirely personal feeling. There are some trans women who are like me, and there are some trans women who've changed their voice to sound female, and that's all great, but it's partly the reason why I also identify as non-binary, because I'm just not interested in changing my voice at this time. Will I ever change it? I don't know. Life has taught me we never know what's around the corner. For the first 45 years of my life, I was happy to be the man I thought I was at the time, essentially. And obviously, gender dysphoria finally caught up with me and pushed me over the edge. I'll see what I can do. So, I'm going to try and record the rest of this video in what... I'm going to try and make my voice a bit more feminine. We'll see how it goes. I've actually never listened back to a recording of myself trying to do this. I will with this one, and I'll post my thoughts in the description of this video. But I do strongly also believe that society needs to become more diverse so that it will become accepting of that diversity. And by not changing my voice, well, I'm doing it now, but by not changing it, I'm doing my small part to help society move in that direction, because I always present as female. Or androgynous sometimes, and never present as a man. So when I'm talking to strangers, sometimes I do tend to raise my pitch somewhat briefly, but over time my tendency to do this has lessened quite a bit. And there is a downside to this, of course. The worst aspect of my voice not conforming to my gender expression is what happens when I use gendered facilities. If I use women's toilets, which is where I feel safer than using men's toilets, that's the reason I do it. I go in, do my business and get out as quickly as I can, because I'm still not very happy in single sex spaces of any kind now. And I avoid interaction with anybody, and I especially don't use my voice, and it's partly because I don't want to scare anybody, and partly because I don't want trouble, of course. And since transitioning, well, as I said, I feel that anxiety about using gendered facilities, and sometimes that anxiety is a little bit overwhelming, and I do carry a radar key, and sometimes I will use disabled facilities if that feeling is overwhelming. Remembering, of course, that disabilities are not just visible. So, well, this isn't a series that is intended for enjoyment. It's intended to be informational. I hope this has been informative for you. and please feel free to post a comment, ask me a question, whatever, but don't waste my time by not being nice in the comments, please, because I just end up, well, okay, yeah, I'm gonna delete this comment if it's rude or if it's transphobic. And also, if you do happen to see someone in my comments that does that, please do not feed the trolls. Don't reply to them, just let it go. That is the best bet. Thank you very much, and I'll try and post something else next weekend.